The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution protects the right of the people to keep and bear arms. It was adopted on December 15, 1791, as a part of the first 10 Amendments signed by James Madison. The Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that the right belongs to the individuals, while also ruling that the right is not unlimited and does not prohibit all regulations of either firearms or similar devices. State and local governments are limited to the same exact as federal government from infringing this right per the incorporation of the Bill of Rights. We asked some people and interviewed some people on their views of gun control. Here are a few of their answers.
I disagree.
I disagree.
Agree.
Disagree.
I agree.
I agree.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I want to interview you about our topic of gun control. First question: how do you feel about gun control?
I don't agree with it.
You don't? Why is that?
Because I believe that you should have a weapon there to protect you. Yes, there's certain places that you should not have the weapon, but I feel like you should always have a form of protection.
Okay, and that leads up to my next question. Where do you think guns should be permitted?
I think that you should be allowed to have them at home, and you should be allowed to have them on you, but there are restrictions like schools or like playgrounds. You don't need a gun on a playground.
Right.
Around children. I think that you should be cautious where you bring it. If you bring it in a restaurant, it should be put up.
How do you feel about gun control?
I feel that gun control is a good thing. I don't feel that they should have the restrictions or impose the restrictions that our government is wanting to impose.
Okay, what do you think the state can do to not allow the guns getting into the wrong hands?
They can continue the background checks, and anybody who has been arrested for any violent crimes or went to any kind of psychiatric evals or help, deny them.
Okay, should gun control fall into act for cops off duty?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Why? You're going to entrust me to carry a gun when I'm being paid by the county to enforce the law and tote a gun, but when I'm off duty, I can't protect myself nor my family.
Questions. How do you feel about gun control?
There needs to be gun control to some degree. No one needs automatic weapons to go hunting. And the more we have control over those sort of things and the production of it, the more mass killings and bad situations like that can be reduced some.
Okay. How do you feel about gun control in schools?
Schools, there needs not to be any kind of weapons in a school. Period.
Why?
Safety. First of all, most people in a high school are young, and back in my day, a lot of them had weapons, guns, because they were hunters, but that was back then in a rural setting. But you don't need it in the school, and because of the factor of safety.
Yes. How do you think the world would change if we had better gun control?
Well, you look at the European countries, and they don't have as many killings, because like an old song says, handguns are made for killing, nothing good for nothing else. But it is also true that if we ban guns, criminals will still have guns. It helps. It's a mindset of being aware of how to use guns and how to make sure that kids don't get to them and stuff like that. Many people, many conservative people feel like had every one been armed with a gun like that killing in California, people would have died, but they would have killed the assailant sooner. I have a mixed feeling about that. The problem is when you have a gun, if you're hot-tempered or under influence of alcohol or drugs, that's when it becomes really dangerous.
Okay, thank you so much for answering questions. As you can tell, there are a lot of different views on gun control. Bernie Sanders said, if someone has a gun and it falls into the hands of a murderer, do you hold the gun manufacturer responsible? Not any more than you would hold a hammer company responsible if someone beat somebody over the head with a hammer. The Brady Bill, passed November 11, 1993, mandates federal background checks, establishes a 5-day waiting period on firearm purchases. Bernie Sanders voted against the act 5 times on the ground that the states and not the federal government should decide on a 5-day waiting period. Clinton was all for the act. The Brady Bill, which my husband signed into law in 1995, imposed a 5-day waiting period for gun purchases, time enough for authorities to check out a buyer's record and for the buyer to cool down about any conflict he might have intended the gun to resolve. Her political career, Clinton has pushed for radical gun control, including federal bans on assault rifles and high-capacity magazines, as well as a prohibited gun tax. Sanders has argued that gun violations varies from state to state, and different states should have different gun laws. In his debate, he uses the example of gun prohibition being used for hunting in Vermont, but are being used for crime in Chicago, Los Angeles, or New York. His emotion on the thought of gun control is mixed. Clinton is for, Bernie's not sure. As you can tell, there are a lot of people who are for and against gun control. It honestly goes on how you were raised or where you were raised or your own personal opinion. As you can see in the graph, the United States is not the number one for trigger-happy people. It is Taiwan. So, why are we blaming everybody for being trigger-happy? The most commonly used thing to kill people with are household items, not guns. Music can also influence our views on gun control. Here are a few snippets of songs.
At this and never see the beauty or how much. Getting out of bed and putting on his boots and getting gone.
As you can see, gun control is seen everywhere, but we're taking away our gun rights from our people that use them for recreational use and for protection. And what are we going to do with the criminals? The criminals are still going to get their hands on them. So, let's take away the rights of gun use from the criminals before we take them away from the law-abiding citizens.
Taking care of old Red. Now old Red, he's the damnedest dog that I've ever seen. Got a nose that can smell a 2-day trail. He's a 4-legged tracking machine. You can consider yourself mighty lucky to get past the gators and the quicksand beds. But all